Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Thursday, July 7th, 2022. And as promised, I'm picking up where I left off yesterday. What we're going to work on today, according to the Mercedes-Benz documentation, they call this procedure renewing sealing ring for control piston. So that's what this video is all about. When we're done, this is what it should look like. We should have our control nut on the top and our piston nice and free and clear, and we have a new sealing ring inside of there. Now, I can't stress how important it is to take your time on this and to follow the directions. Now, there's a manual out there on actually rebuilding these, but I just pulled out what I thought was important. And of course, even the manual talks about measuring this. It just doesn't kind of give you a starting point. So let's say, for example, you purchase this and you want to go through it. You know, you have no idea if it worked or didn't work or anything. So measure what you've got, right, according to the manual. Boss says that 0.6 millimeters is the starting point. I mean, it is the base, all right? But that doesn't mean that's what yours is. Mine wasn't. So, I mean, you could probably set it like that if you're going through it and rebuilding it, and you could probably just set everything to there, I would think. I wouldn't know. So after you've removed your nut, you can then pull out your control plunger. But be really careful, because that is a very, very delicate piece of machined steel. All right, you'll see in the video, I've got nice close-ups of it, but there's like a filter on one end. It's got to fit in that cylinder just right, and man, everything's got to be just right. So you don't want to mess with this thing if you're going to clean it. The only way really to clean it, other than your normal cleaning with brake clean, is an ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm going to actually use an ultrasonic cleaner on this today, and you guys can see how well that works. And then it was also recommended to me that you can put the whole thing into the ultrasonic cleaner. Now the manual says, yeah, putting it in an ultrasonic cleaner using mineral spirits is fine, but you'll notice it's all taken apart. The diaphragm is not there. Okay? So even though it was recommended that I can just take mine and put it in that and run it in an ultrasonic cleaner, I chose not to, and in this video you'll see why I chose not to. So basically that's what this video is all about. We're going to be kind of putting this thing together, but all I'm going to do really is just set the depth, we're going to take it apart, clean it, and set the depth. But I'm not going to actually assemble this whole thing, because it was the cleaning process and then setting it aside for a long period of time that made my piston stick. So I don't want anything sticking before I go and put it all back together in the car, because I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm still waiting on parts. So even though I semi-put it together, you'll have to forgive me that I'm not completely putting everything back together and sticking it on a car, right? So, but the process of putting it there is there. There's only specs really is torque specs is when you mount the whole just unit to the car. So other than that, none of this requires anything other than being really careful and measuring what you've got, and don't drop that control piston on the ground or anything like that. Make sure you're really clean. This has to be done in a very clean environment. Okay, so that's number one. When you're done, that's what it's going to look like, right? Everything's going to be beautifully clean, and your control piston's going to be nice and flowing up and down, and that's kind of what this whole video is about. Hey, while I'm at it, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and click the subscribe button. It's not about me having a bunch of subscribers. It's really to help others find me, really. So the more subscribers I have, the more popular my channel can become amongst the 107 community, and people can find me when they have an issue, because I'm basically going through every single part of this car. So, and then we're going to start it at some point. So again, that's another reason why you want to subscribe and click the bell. You want to see, hey, is this going to start? Because if it doesn't start, maybe you don't want to follow any of my videos. I don't know what to tell you, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And hey, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. We got some great videos coming up. All right. So this is our fuel mixture control unit, of course. And I bought all the parts. Let's see. So I bought the for the injectors. This is the old ones. That's the new ones. And these are the nozzle holders. We're not going to use these until we assemble the car, so until we start assembling the actual engine itself. All right. Now, if you guys remember, I took that off and I said I needed to buy an O-ring. So that's the O-ring. I bought that. In addition to that, I bought this other one too. All right, so that's for the control piston. That's on the inside. And then these two green ones, you know, they go right behind here. Again, these we're not going to put on, or I'm not going to put on at this point, because there's a nut that we have to get to right here when we mount this distributor to the intake. All right, so that will be put aside. Also, you notice these other things here. Let's go like this. We have all these here. I'm not going to put those on here either. None of that. None of this stuff here. There is one other thing that we're going to need, and that's this thing. Right? That goes on the bottom right here. And then I also bought one of these. And that's that 137 right there. And if you guys remember, I did a video on this, and these are the little 3D printed clips to replace these broken clips. So I've got a video on that, and I got a link to the file. If you've got a 3D printer, you can print them and do any color you want. Now, the first thing I want to start with is this. Now, unfortunately, you guys, I learned a big lesson. Because I already took this off because I was just going to take a measurement just to see where I was and things like that. And so I did. So I unscrewed this, right? Earlier in the video, I took it off. And also earlier in the video, I still got one a little bit tight here. All right, let me go ahead and just set this thing here aside. We don't need this in our way. Okay, so what I wanted to show you. You see how that plunger's down? And you remember earlier in the video it was like so soft and easy? Well, that's because earlier in the video I just took it off the car. It was well lubricated. And, well, I cleaned it with a water-based solvent. I lubricated it. I did put WD-40 in here. You know, I threw WD-40 there. There's another one here that I put WD-40 on, but, you know, obviously that didn't do it. So it was out, okay, when I started. And when I first pushed it out, I go, well, let's see how nice and soft, remember? And then, well, and that's what happened. All right. So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. We know we're going to be replacing this. So now, let's talk about this for a minute. There's a little nut here, and I didn't know this, so I want you guys to be aware of this little issue here. This little nut, look at, I can move this thing. Well, I can. I moved it actually really easy when I was pushing on this. I go, oh wow, I can move that thing. Now before I moved it, I took a measurement with my micrometer. Is the distance this is Bosch speaking. All right, but the distance between the top of this, I'll just get a snapshot like that. Between the top of that and that nut that you can turn is 0.6 millimeter. Zero this out. And then I'll try that. I see how to be a little bit more consistent, that's for sure. You bring your plunger down a little bit, right? Bring it down so it sticks out right there. And then you can see where you are and then push it down. And you can be very consistent. So 0.43 is what I'm going to write down. All you got to do now is turn that. And the best way to do that is with my trusty tool. Right? My little pieces of plastic. So, just going to put that in there like that. See if I can turn it. Oh, I can. It turns quite easily. But I can't grip it because that thing's in the way, right? I can tell though that it turns easy. I don't want to use a screwdriver, that's for sure. So we'll just keep trying. There it is. Now she's turning. There we go. All right. So let's see what we got here. You see how that O-ring is kind of a different look to it? The new O-ring is shaped the same way. So that's a good sign. We'll take that off in a minute, but I'm still curious about this plunger because it doesn't want to move. Let's put some WD-40 right inside of here, and then we'll let it set. All right, well, let's let that set for a bit. Well, it's early in the morning, and that plunger is still stuck. You can see, you know, it's still below the level there. I'm going to pull up this other camera there, see? There's a couple of pictures. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to take this, but I'm going to protect it first. I'm going to protect that plunger, and then we'll do it that way. Thought maybe I can just cover that and see if I can grab a hold of that thing, because I can't grab it with my hand. I feel like it's coming. Oh, I think I got it. 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 Yes! Yes! Woo! So, there's all that WD-40. There's those little holes. There's no, oh, you see that right there? You see that little bit of discoloration right there. Set this down. Let's take a look inside. Looks like there's a spring down there. Right? Oh. Yeah. There we go. I can see that. Let's just see if we can just turn it upside down. I'll cover it. Okay. See the spring? So, let's just take that out, right? Do I see anything different about how that came in and went out? Let's see. Let's just lay this down. That's how it came out. Alright, so now let's look inside. Let me see if I can. Isn't that weird, man? You got a flashlight, but the camera, covers it. So even if I had a light, you can't get the light where you need it. Look at that. No matter how I put the light underneath it. That's weird, right? It's got to be a better way. That's about the best I'm going to get it. But you guys got an idea. All right. So we didn't have to take it apart. That's a good thing. So I'm thinking what I got to do is probably just, ultrasonic clean this just to make sure. Same thing with the spring, and then I'll clean that out with brake clean. And then we'll see if we can get this plunger to move nice and smooth. I'm just going to take this off. I already have it loose. Set that aside. going to get these little guys out. Just want to be really careful though. I have new ones, so it doesn't matter if I hurt them at all. Alright, so I've got everything out, so now I want to start trying to flush this out. I'm going to probably use a little bit of brake clean and mineral spirits, and finally flush it with petroleum. Good old gasoline. I think that would be the best way. We'll just make sure it's completely clear. You know, why that plunger went down and didn't come up, I don't know. It could be a possibility that the diaphragm was damaged, maybe, right? I don't know. But I want to clean this thing a little bit further. I'm actually not going to take these off. All right, I've decided I'm not going to break this down any further. And there's a couple of reasons. Once I break these seals, these are probably going to be seal rings behind there, so I'll have to order them and wait months to get it. But another thing that stands out to me, I don't know if I can show this in this camera over here or not. This is the diaphragm. Okay, that's part of the diaphragm. And what I've noticed is that the rubber, I can move that little piece of rubber on the diaphragm. So that tells me, or suggests to me, here's even a better example. You see I can actually move that. There's no way I can show you. Oh, actually, there is. See that? Because it's flexible, that kind of tells me that this may have been rebuilt. I just don't know how long those things would stay flexible. I mean, it sat in my garage for 14 years. So now this is what I'm going to do. That's as far as I'm going to take it. I am now going to put this in lacquer thinner and see if I can't clean off any old gasoline. And I'll run some mineral spirits down in here. I'm not going to run anything in there except possibly a nylon only brush. Not with a steel shank, but an only nylon brush. Just to make sure, and try to flush this all out. It was suggested that I can just put this whole thing in an ultrasonic cleaner, just like this, with some Dawn dish soap. And I'm going to show you why I might not suggest that you do that. So let's get the ultrasonic cleaner up here, and we'll get that going so we can clean that big plunger and miscellaneous things. All right, so this is my 6-liter ultrasonic cleaner. I set the temperature to 60 degrees Celsius, and I have that ultrasonic cleaner at this point on for just 1 minute because I want to demonstrate something here. So I'm going to take the lid off. It's not really hot, but I'll use this anyways. And I don't know how this is going to sound, but what I'm going to do is this is a piece of aluminum foil. Just a household aluminum foil. Okay? Now, I'm going to set that for 1 minute. Like I said, it's on 1 minute. And I'm going to go ahead and start it. And I'm going to set this right here. That's all I'm going to do. Just set it in there. It's not too loud, right? All right. It didn't destroy it like I thought it was going to, though. All right, so I had to move over here because I've now put it on the concrete floor. And the reason is that was on a portable table, and it was a plastic table. And, well, that's how these, let's talk about how these things work. So there's transducers, which are like speakers, basically, that are mounted on the bottom of this. And they shoot up and vibrate. So what's happening, I felt that that table was absorbing a lot of the ultrasonic vibrations. So we're going to put this back to 1 minute. Oop, wrong way. Okay, and then I put this on a little hanger so I can just set that on there. And then we'll see. That should be good enough. And now I'm just going to go ahead and turn it on for 1 minute. If you notice, it's moving the cameras, even though the cameras are not even by it. I find that to be quite interesting. Why is that, right? But it's vibrating like the stabilizers. I'm thinking in the cameras. You see how everything's stabilized? Now, this is what I wanted to show you. Do you guys see how that blew right through it? Right? That's completely blown right through it. But that's the reason right there that I say you shouldn't put a diaphragm in an ultrasonic cleaner. Right? I wouldn't put a harmonica in here because it has thin wreaths. I mean, there's so many things I would not put in an ultrasonic cleaner. And I mean, that's just my own opinion, but that's what it does to, you know, thin piece of aluminum. I mean, that's aluminum, you guys. That is aluminum. Some of these diaphragms are very thin paper. Of course, aluminum is more dense. It will puncture the holes, but the ultrasonic is, you know, it's basically blowing holes through everything and popping all the debris and stuff off your surfaces. So it's fine, you know, for the plunger. I mean, that's a machined piece of metal. It's got debris, possibly, inside those little filters. So that's going to be fine for this. So let's go grab that. That's my plunger. So this is a hard plastic. You know, it's not a soft plastic like a Tupperware. Okay, but this here, I feel, you know, like it's going to do the job. So, and now we can go ahead and let that run for a little bit. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of time. I'm going to only go 5 minutes. I think that's all it needs. And I don't think anybody needs to wait around. But we can look at it and see what it actually looks like on the inside. You can see how it moves the cameras. So ultrasonic sound waves actually go beyond that, because I have both of these on a tripod. And you can see them moving. And I mean, come on, they're not attached to that in any way. But yet they're completely moving. All right, let's take a look at from the top. I'm taking up some of the vibrations, but I wonder if you have false teeth, if you should be in here. I don't have false teeth. There we go. So now we're take that thing out of there. So that I have a lint-free towel that I'm gonna actually use here in a second. Now I need to pour this out. So they use these, supposedly these towels in clean rooms. If you guys remember, there was a little discoloration right here on the when I first had it. And then I'm sure all those little things have all right, so now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to coat it with some WD-40, and then I'm going to set that in a bag. And this bag I cleaned out. It's completely super duper duper clean. So there we go. All right, so again, lacquer thinner. I'm going to put that spring in there and that cap, but I'm going to take that O-ring off first. That's all I did. Okay. So it's got a little ridge in there that it fits into, right? All right. And it goes in. There we go. You'll notice those transducers generated 1 degree Celsius. That's just from the just from vibration, I'm guessing. Right? The energy. Gotta go somewhere. I have a link to this particular ultrasonic cleaner. You can see it's quite effective. It's 6 liters, it's got a drain. It's a pretty darn good little cleaner. And another thing I want to just kind of point out is that what I have inside here is just water. I always have it full right to the rim. I never put chemicals in there, really. I use hard plastic tight containers. Then I can choose any kind of solvent that I want to use, right? And nobody cares. So now I'm going to go ahead and take that out. There's really very little tension on that spring. But I know, when it was stuck earlier, it was stuck fully extended. So it's not because it was stuck differently. This thing came out really clean. So again, I've got a plastic bag and I'm going to coat this with some WD-40. All right, don't want to have any of this stuff get any kind of rust, possible rust. That's going to go in my little bag here. Well coated. And it, too, into the bag. All right, so now we're back at the table here. So my big concern is whether or not that plunger is going to run smoothly in there to start with. That's my first concern. Now alright, so I cleaned this all with lacquer thinner, brake cleaner, over and over till it smelled clean and everything, and then I've put WD-40 in it for now. Alright, so let's get our spring. Look at that. See, what I notice is it goes down and doesn't really come back up like it used to. Right? Not like it did. To me, it's just a lot slower than it used to be. And I don't know why that is. See, there at the end, she just pops right up. Once it gets to there, she falls. Boom. So that, it just don't seem right to me. Not like it was. I don't know. You know, fuel is has a thinner viscosity than WD-40. So it could be that WD-40 is just too thick. And before I install this, you know, you should flush it with fuel. That's my guess. You know, because there's no reason for this, really. So it was bugging me about that control piston being stuck, or not really stuck, but just kind of dragging and not working like it did when I originally pulled it out of the car. You know, so I thought, you know, I said earlier, I says it's probably this viscosity. So I look up the viscosity of gasoline compared to other products, oils and things like that. And, you know, I found that water is probably the closest, right, to gasoline, but then we've got mineral spirits. So I decided to go ahead and flush this thing out with mineral spirits and try again. And there you go. All right? And that's how it should be working. All right, so let's get back to reassembling this thing. Okay, here's our distributor. It's completely cleaned. Everything is cleaned. It's basically polished. Now, if you remember, the instructions said that before you take off your nut, that you would see the alignment of it as well as taking a measurement. I took a picture originally. This picture was taken exactly at the moment that I flipped it over for the very first time. So that's the position of that nut. And so I kind of made a mark there. And I made a mark over here. And there you go. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is that right there. That's my so-called alignment. So it's pretty close. And of course, I mean, I can move it, right? So I can say, okay, it's right there. If I want to cheat, I can put it anywhere I want, but it's going to be right about like that. Right? All right. So to begin with is our spring. Okay. I've cleaned it. Brake fluid, you know, I've ultrasound, the whole 10 yards. Just drop that spring right in there. Now, before we put on this, we need to put on our seal. This seal is quite a bit different. You see how it's kind of, let's see. All right, there. You see this got a thin line? I'll hold it right there. Let's see. It's thinner and then thicker on that one side. Can you see that? Matter of fact, if I hold it more like this, you can see the difference in that. Right? That thicker side, this side right here. That thicker side is what goes against this. So the thick side goes in first. All right. I hope that that was clear. You can see, right? You can see the difference. That's about the best I'm going to be able to show it to you. But that's how it came off, so that's how it should go on. I would probably only lubricate it with fuel or something. All right, so here's our plunger, or piston, or whatever you want to call it. I just made sure it's nice and clean with the towel, lint-free towel. And then I'm just going to drop that in. I'm going to leave it like that height for now. Push her down. Get our nut. And just push it down. And then I just have this little plastic tool right here. And we can just push it in that and turn it. I hope. And we're looking for 0.43. That's what it was when I took it off. All right, let's see where we are. Let's line up our lines. Isn't that an easy way to do it, you guys? It's like using a laser. Oh, boy. This thing doesn't really work all that great. Let me see about this popsicle stick. That works even easier. I'm gonna see what this spot is right here. If I were to try to line that up, it would go right about something like that, I'm thinking. Pretty close. Maybe a little bit more. Not too much. You can see just a little bit, right? But that's, you know, kind of close. Let's just get a measurement. All right, let's see where we are. .42. It's kind of hard to get it just perfect, right? So that's the reason why they want you to make that alignment, to kind of really help you out, because, you know, this thing, you know, if you think about it, you could be this way, that way, you know, this way. I mean, you're trying to catch both sides of your scale on the corners of that, on the top, right? And then slide your nut down. I mean, that's what you're hoping for. .43. I'm going to say that that is the position that it originally was set at. I'm happy with that. I'm lining up on my lines really nice. So that part of the build is completed. Now I want to work on this here. So all that happened really is it just came disconnected from this little thing here. So just that loop, this came out of the groove, and I'll show you how that actually works, because I've already put the new one together. So there's nothing wrong with this one. It can probably be used. So let me go ahead and just undo it. But that's why, you know, doing this doesn't loosen it. So that's the reason why I could not loosen it before. All right, the quick recap of what I did, really, is I went ahead and thoroughly cleaned this. I even ran some brake through it in some different areas. You guys already know we took it all the way apart, and I lubricated everything very, very well. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. And I had already done that, but that's just a little extra. There we go. Not going anywhere. There's the fuel distributor in a bag. These are all the old parts. I'm keeping them. When you do it, you're going to have those two O-rings you got to deal with. Right? I'll do that when we go to install it and put these two O-rings on them. And then you've got these two green ones on the EHA. I think that's what that's called. Fuel mixture control unit in the box. Fuel distributor in the box. Old parts in the box. In the box. In the box. All ready to go. In the box. Now, if I wanted to, you know, I could go ahead and put this in the ultrasound. It wouldn't hurt, you know, to put the injectors in there. But if I do, that's all it'll be. I'll just keep each injector where they belong. So number 8 injector, number 7 injector, number 6 injector, number 5 injector, 4 and 3 injectors, 2 and 1. Our 2 green ones for the EHA in the box. Our new O-ring for the fuel distributor, the big one, in the box. And the small one for the nut on the top, in the box. The EHA in the box. All those nuts and bolts in the box. The 3D printed clips in the box. Injector nozzles in the box. Rubber seals in the box. I forgot to mention, in the EHA, I have the spring. You can barely see it, but I have the spring, that cap nut, and the piston. That's all in this. They're all protected, all lubricated in the box.